Oh hi! I'm PDX Toy Collective, and you might remember me from such classic videos as Oh no, that's a war crime, or even The Curse of Michael Jackson. Maybe even What If Kanye West wrote G.I. Joe?
Was that Hitler?
Was what, Hitler?
That looked like Hitler.
And today I'm taking part in a tradition practiced by all creatively bankrupt toy YouTubers, a top 10 list. That's right, I'm going to take you through my top 10 favorite figures of 2025 in no particular order. And if you want to keep the unscripted nonsense going, then be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications to help support the Pacific Northwest's favorite and only toy YouTuber. Just like your favorite SoundCloud artist who secretly wishes they were mainstream, not everybody can make it to the top of the charts. And before we continue with the top 10, let's take a look at two honorable mentions. First up on the docket is this 1973 Laramie Hawaii Five-0 pistol and detective kit. Hawaii Five-0 is one of my favorite TV shows. It's prime, grade A propaganda, and it's all the more badass for it. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of shows of that era, there are no action figures for it. Instead, there were rack toys. These would have just been generic role-playing toys, bits and bobs, slapped with a TV license and stuck in a drugstore, as was the style of the time. As much as I love it, the only reason this didn't make the top 10 list proper is because, well, it's a rack toy, not an action figure. And rack toys are the domain of plaid stallions. And my domain is that of the Transformers. This year, I was lucky enough to go to TF Nation over in Manchester. And while there, I got to meet Alex Milne. I picked up a few goodies from him, including an original art page from the Transformers Unicron miniseries. However, what's much more interesting is hot motor oil. Transformers smut. Keeping in the tradition of great artists like Jim Steranko and Wally Wood, Alex Milne has taken designs he made for the Transformers comic series and made cheeky, cute, and lewd pin-ups with them. My favorites include Slipstream, Sea Spray, and the little sketch of Brainstorm that Alex Milne did for me. Now, let's start the top 10 list proper with Super 7's Daft Punk Human After All reaction figures set. Now, in my opinion, both reaction figures and Super 7 get too much flack. They get a bad rep, and the most hyperbolic of toy people like to compare them to Funko Pops. But here's the thing, Funko Pops actually suck. They're uncharismatic and uninteresting, whereas reaction figures are based off of the 5POA Kenner style of action figure. And while you may or may not like those, you can't deny that skill, time, and craft go into making these toys. And these two figures are wonderfully realized 3 3/4-inch versions of Guy Manuel de Homan Cristo and Thomas Bangalter, as depicted in the Human After All short film. And you can tell that these are the robot counterparts and not their offstage personas, because once you remove Guy Manuel's mask, you can see that he has a nice circuit board pattern underneath, very reminiscent of the Maskatron from the $6 Million Man toy line. Next up on the list is Takara's Missing Link Generation 1 RC, and this truly is the culmination of the time, talent, and effort of one Takara designer. Hironori Kobayashi started out in Takara in the late 90s after presenting them with an RC garage kit based off of that early 1986 canceled prototype, and from there on, he's made it his life's duty to make amazing RC toys. He's responsible for the Thrilling 30 release, as well as Missing Link RC. If RC has one fan, it's him. If she has thousands of fans, he's among them. If she has no fans, it's because he's passed. When handling this figure, you can just feel the time and dedication that went into making a proper realization of a Generation 1 RC toy. And even though she has the added engineering and articulation of the Missing Link, she looks almost seamless when put next to the 86 movie cast. And I just love that sharp head sculpt that's so reminiscent of that original concept art. Plus, the orange sherbet and pink color combo is just so striking. I like it a little bit more than the anime colorway version of Missing Link RC, which uses the proper pink and white color combo. Not only is Japan home to tons of cool action figures, but it's also home to tons of cool convention-exclusive figures. And this year, Wonderfest received not one, but 2 exclusive figures from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run. And of those 2, my favorite is Ringo Rodigan and his stand, Mandem. Now, the JoJo figures have a little bit of a mixed reputation in the action figure collecting community. While they have an amazing likeness to Hirohiko Araki's original art, they do have limited articulation. Luckily, Ringo here has pretty amazing engineering as well as fantastic sculpt work to really realize that psycho-western outfit, plus some great accessories, my favorite of which is Mandem, which I was a little scared was going to be a Wonder Festival exclusive, kind of like Tusk Act 1, but luckily it seems like the regular retail version will also include Mandem. The only exclusive part is like a little speech plate, which, you know, it's nice, but not necessary. I have to have it because I'm a completionist. Now Ringo Rodigan can live not only with my JoJo figures, but also my Charles Bronson Mandem collection, also from Japan. If Ringo Rodigan's acid western stylization was a little too much for you, then you're on the wrong toy channel, because the next up is the Iron Factory Electric Warrior series. No, that's a T-Rex album. I don't remember what it's called. Their version of Bludgeon, which is a highly stylized, like, dead Oni samurai armor version of Bludgeon. I like it a lot. I think this is really cool. This is the right amount of exaggeration for me. It reminds me a lot of the Studio Ox art, as well as just a lot of the cool fan art that you see on like Instagram and Twitter for the Transformers. It's highly stylized, it's highly evocative, it has amazing articulation. My only thing is I kind of wish it looked just a teeny bit more like Bludgeon's Outer Pretender shell with some more orange hits instead of just the green, but it is reflective of the inner Bludgeon robot, so it still works out either way. This figure, as well as some of the New Age releases, have really skewed me towards the third-party Legends scene. I like this kind of boutique, small-scale interpretation of the Transformers. Obviously, New Age skews more towards the Sunbow and toy-accurate character models, and Iron Factory here is incredibly stylized, but either way, I like them a lot, and you can kind of mix and match them well enough for, like, a pseudo-IDW shelf, which, you know, is more of what I'm going for. Now, I like wild and crazy character designs, and by the time you get to the 1990s and the Real American Hero toy line, G.I. Joe gets pretty wild. Now, I have a huge affinity for things like the Eco Warriors, for example. I think Toxo Viper 2 is one of the coolest figures ever produced. But my biases aside, a lot of people tend to agree there are some sleeper hits in there. And one of them is the Alley Viper version 2. Alley Viper version 2 trades in the evil safety orange and powder blue for a really hardcore, glossy stark black and yellow deco. This thing looks so striking and cool in my opinion. It's a lot, undoubtedly. Like, this is not, you know, urban combat stealth or whatever military bullshit you want to throw in there. This thing is loud, it's proud, and it is going to kick in your door and yell Cobra, especially with that big Cobra riot shield. It's very exaggerated, it's admittedly a bit strange, but it's kind of badass because of it. Now, G.I. Joe's really been undergoing a bit of a renaissance lately with the 6-inch classified toy line, and with hit figure after hit figure, it's kind of easy to forget that, well, the toy line really had a rocky start, especially with these kind of Fortnite-inspired designs. Because of that, several third-party companies decided to take the initiative and make their own military-inspired toy lines. One of which was Valaverse with the Action Force toy line, and this announcement got me pretty excited because I love Palitoy's Action Force, but the final figures came out looking pretty Steven Seagal, if you ask me.
I love the fuck out of cookies.
While I do own a few Valaverse figures, my attention really shifted to other third-party 6-inch toy lines, including Big Bad Toy Stores, Big Bad Workshops, Operation Monster Force, a very Pulp Fiction, almost League of Extraordinary Gentlemen-inspired toy line. And I'm particularly fond of the Sleepwalker Soldier here, a very striking all-red figure with a skull-like gas mask. Again, very turn-of-the-century Pulp Fiction. I like that kind of stuff a lot. And the figure has tons of great accessories and modular components, including interchangeable heads. But what really sold me on this toy was the alternate Red Shadows head. Yes, this is a 6-inch modernization of the Red Shadows with its own little artistic flair. And the Red Shadows are some of my favorite vintage action figures, so a 6-inch version is exactly what I wanted. And if you want to talk about flair, then we got to go back to the 1990s. I already mentioned the Alley Viper version 2, which is a very neon action figure, but the real neon comes in Transformers Generation 2. One of the most iconic figures in all of Generation 2 is Ramjet. Not only does he have an amazing new goth color palette consisting of dark purple, black, and turquoise, but also he has tons of goofy, bodacious 90s stickers and gimmicks, including some missile launchers and a little hate tank. I feel like G2 Ramjet is really iconic for that era. He's right up there with Laser Optimus Prime and Sideswipe for just in-your-face, bold, and brash Transformers. However, bold and brash Transformers go all the way back to the beginning, and the biggest icon among them is Starscream. You can do a lot with Starscream. He's one of the best characters in the entire series and one of the most iconic designs. So, it makes perfect sense to make him into a girl. This is Star Queen from Collection Space, an amazing boutique third-party piece that turns Starscream into a total fashionista. Not that he already isn't one, but you know what I'm trying to say. Plainly, this figure is just amazing. She has fantastic sculpted and painted work, a beautiful color scheme evocative of the original Generation 1 Starscream, and fantastic engineering. She has some of the best posability I have ever seen on a third-party figure and can strike some fantastic and amazing poses, which look all the crazier thanks to her massively long legs. Girl's got legs from here to yaya, so all of her poses, all of her photos, and all of her action shots look amazing. I can't say that enough in this. She's just one of the best figures I've picked up all year. Now from a king who turned into a queen, we've got a queen made by a king of art. This is the Icon Collectibles Frazetta Girls Vampirella, a figure based wholly on the amazing art by the legendary Frank Frazetta. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Frank Frazetta is one of history's greatest artists. Yes, I'm putting him up there with Leonardo da Vinci, with Michelangelo, with Jack the King Kirby. And just like Jack Kirby, I've always wanted figures based off of his artwork, but the problem is, nothing really fully captures that. Well, at least not until now. Frazetta Girls, a company spearheaded by his granddaughters, has produced a full range of articulated 6-inch prestige action figures based off of his art, including the Norseman, Dark Wolf from Fire and Ice, Tigra from Fire and Ice, and Vampy here. Vampy's super cheeky. She's super cute. She's sassy and fun and has a ton of amazing accessories, especially all these little bats. I love the little bats. And she does have a great array of interchangeable heads and hands. It's a little difficult to change them out, but it's really well worth it. All of these portrait sculpts are excellently sculpted and crafted to look so much like Frank Frazetta's original artwork. Also, did you know that Vampirella is an alien? Yeah, most people don't know this. She's not an actual vampire like Carmilla or Dracula. She's an alien from Draculon, which, I don't know, maybe that's near transsexual Transylvania. But if she's an alien, that means she's an invader of Earth. And there's only one man who can handle invaders, and that is Henshin Cyborg, one of the most important action figures ever made in the history of Takara and Hasbro. Henshin Cyborg was a 1970s answer to G.I. Joe. While they did have some distribution in Japan, they didn't do very well. Instead, they took the Captain Action concept of licensed costumes with a carte blanche figure and combined them with tokusatsu elements. That's how we got this amazing clear plastic 12-inch action figure full of beautiful mechanical detail. Unlike most Transformers fans, I ain't scared of no clear plastic. This is a nearly 50-year-old action figure that I'm playing with here, and it looks beautiful. And this is a bit of a grail. By no means is it a crazy BotCon piece grail or a pre-production piece, but this is a very important piece to the history of Transformers. Without Henshin Cyborg, there would be no Micronauts, and without the Micronauts, no Microchange and Diaclone, and of course, no Transformers from there. This is kind of the grandpappy of the entire toy line, and you gotta respect it for that. Look, there's absolutely no consistency to this top 10 list. It's just all things I like and I'm proud to get in my collection in 2025. There's weirdo rack toys from the 70s, there's Transformers, there's G.I. Joes, there's boutique action figures from Japan and prestige pieces from back in the day. But it keeps you on your toes. I always keep it interesting here at PDX Toy Collective, so be sure to tune in 2026 for another year full of absolute nonsense action figure reviews, and you know what, maybe a few TV shows and movies and video games thrown in here and there. It's certainly not out of the question. We'll see you then.